Thursday, everyone. I'm Monica May, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of One Take Live. Tonight, we're traveling over to Parramore. It is an area in the downtown historic Orlando area, comprised mostly of African Americans. Some would say impoverished. The median income listed back in 2015 was just above $15,000. There is so much that is reported bad about that area, but there is so much good in the hood in Parramore. And part of that is due to the renovations and the inclusion of the new UCF Valencia Downtown campus. And tonight we're going to talk about something called the Parramore Community Engagement Council. And it was already in existence before UCF was, I don't know about maybe even thought of, but it was there before UCF. And UCF has taken it on and is championing the 5 pillars of excellence that the Parramore Community Engagement Council stands for. So with us tonight to talk a little bit more about that from the UCF Valencia campus, we do have Elizabeth Thompson. And then joining her is the chair of the Parramore Community Engagement Council. And you will know him because he is the shepherd of Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. He's an activist and he's a dear friend of mine, Reverend Dr. Robert Spooney. And Reverend Spooney is with us this evening because I would like for you to just take us on a journey of what this council stands for. You got the 5 pillars right there. And the inclusion of Elizabeth. This thing is really, really extraordinary.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting to come in and have opportunity to speak about the Community Engagement Council. Actually, the council is the brainchild of the leadership of UCF and Valencia and the downtown campus. When they were starting this, Dr. Felicia Williams, who was the president of the West Campus of Valencia and the downtown campus, and others felt it was important that the community would have a role in decision and in issues involving the downtown campus since it was coming into Parramore. So this council is comes conversations that they had where the community giving them ideas of what they wanted and things of that sort. So from that, this council evolved to the point now where we are with a strong membership, a executive director who is staffed by Valencia and UCF, and we are just digging down, if you will, and doing projects, if you will, or community activities. The role of the council primarily is to make sure that the resources available from these 2 great institutions are made available to the residents of Parramore, and that the residents can take advantage of all of the great things that these universities will bring and can offer.
You know what then, Reverend Spooney, I stand corrected because I really thought it was the chicken coming before the egg. So it's good to know that there was this whole come together before the college was built down there, because it would have been, it seemed almost as if outside looking in that the college, Valencia and UCF plopped into the Parramore area. And I'm sure the residents felt that it had been plopped into the area, just as the arena was, just as the soccer stadium was, just every inch of beautiful historic Parramore was being gobbled up. And I'm sure residents at one point felt like, okay, now wait a minute, but there is so much richness that can come from this. And one piece of it that's so important is that a little child living in Parramore, from the time they can toddle and walk all the way through elementary, can do middle school, can do high school and college right there in their own neighborhood. What that is amazing to me. And Elizabeth, is that sort of the gist of where the five pillars come, because they're so connected? If we can just talk about those pillars, and we'll bring them up a little later, but can we talk about them right now?
We certainly can talk about them right now, but I definitely love what you said as far as the child that is born in Parramore or in that area, from pre-K, from their birth all the way through to the highest degree that you can get through a doctoral program. All of that can happen right there in that same footprint. And so you don't have to go outside, but also there are certification programs, and there are accelerated learning programs. So there are so many things that are brought to the area. But when you come to an area, and we definitely, the campus wanted to differentiate ourselves by being of the community and not just in the community. And so we needed to understand what the needs of the community are as told to us by the people who are there. Who better to understand what you need than yourself? And so during the research, while they were planning the Parramore Community Engagement Council, there was actually research done. And what it showed is that when you were talking about having a holistically healthy community, you needed to address 5 specific areas. That would be safety, affordable housing, jobs and employment, education, and health and wellness. If you don't have any of those, then you don't have a holistically healthy community. If I have a job but not a place to stay, if I have a place to stay but I can't afford health care, then the community itself overall is not its most healthy. And so that's why we formed the organization to address the 5 pillars. Because if we can move positively within these 5 pillars, then we can help provide the community what they need.
And so, what I loved hearing through all of that is that this is what the community developed as the 5 things that they need. That health and wellness piece is being done by Orange Blossom Family Health Center. The affordable housing, there is more affordable housing coming up in the area than ever before. Are we teaching our residents how the importance of land ownership and how the richness that develops for family wealth? Are we teaching that?
Each of the 5 pillars is championed by a specific focus group. And so the community council, first and foremost, is majority community members. It always has been and it always will be. So the council itself is led majorly by people who are living in that community. And so those 5 pillars, each one of our community members leads a group that looks at that specific issue. And so the housing community, or excuse me, the housing focus group is led by one of our members, and they look at, okay, are we going to talk about home ownership? Are we going to talk about rental readiness? Are we going to talk about how to maintain a home once you buy one? Are we going to talk about credit readiness? Are we going to talk about inventory? And so the group, each group determines what its specific initiatives and strategies will be for each year.
So are there weekly meetings, monthly meetings? How do they access the information, and how do they utilize the resources? Dr. Spooney?
We meet monthly as a but our the focus groups meet at the under the leadership of leaders. So focus group meet 2 or 3 times a week to address the issues that they're addressing. So there's constant fluidity. There's constant synergy, if you will, where we're meeting and we're dealing with the issue on an ongoing basis. One of the things that when we were establishing the pillar, each pillar has a goal. Goal of the focus group associated with that pillar will drive the direction of that focus group. You mentioned affordable housing. Well, the goal of affordable housing really is to ensure the preservation of Parramore's culture and heritage by exploring avenues to provide for affordable housing, etc. And so what that means is it's twofold. They're looking in to preserve the richness of the legacies and of the heritage, but then also are looking to expand knowledge on home ownership. Importantly, to assist in developing areas that have not vacant lots, etc., identifying those places that some houses, affordable houses, could be built from that point.
Okay.
So yes, we try to teach all of those, but we may not teach them as much as we will assure and point them to the right resources, because we are a catalyst, a traffic light, if you will. And so one of the things we do have access to a lot of resources, and through our organization that come online to help us from that standpoint.
Mhm. How is it during COVID? Because I remember speaking with like the Callahan Center and the Jackson Community Center, and what I was trying to do, because I also am a part of the Valencia family with the Black Advisory Committee, and what I was trying to get some of our students to do was to volunteer if they could. And so we created some ways for them to kind of work a little bit with the students there from a remote distance and still be able to have some synergy in the community. Because the one thing is that if you have these students that are there in the community, you want everybody to feel like they all belong. And you want the residents to be able to walk on that campus and to feel like that's part of their home too. So how are we working to make sure that that happens? I would say that there's a connectivity. How are we maintaining a connectivity, residents and the school?
Again, the breakdown or the makeup of the membership of the council includes a category for students, high school and college, and we have representatives from the community who are on our council
Good.
and sit on the board, if you will. Especially in today's environment with having to deal with COVID-19, all of our meetings have been virtual. Okay, we've not done any face-to-face, but we are still able to move forward with all of the activities. As a matter of fact, we have, I believe it's February the 18th. I may have the wrong date. We're having a virtual COVID-19 seminar uh, uh, from our health and wellness focus group, where we're going to be. We brought in some high level individuals to talk vaccine, the pros and cons of the vaccine, and to give other information relative to that. But it's all virtual, okay? And so, but yes, the synergy is there. We get the word out there, and we just Zoom till we can't Zoom anymore.
That would be something that Spoonie would say. Speaking of COVID, we have been getting reports, and this is every day, about how underserved our inner or our urban communities are, and especially our elderly who are in need of the vaccination. Are you all able to notice that there in the Parramore community, or has the vaccination been making its rounds, or has it been available? Information and the vaccination.
Unfortunately, it has not been available. I've spoke with Orange County just yesterday relative to having vaccinations available for the Parramore area. They explained the process to utilize and the demographics. Certainly right now, they're only looking at their primary thrust is individuals 65 and older and maybe healthcare workers. And so they have a system where they identify areas from that standpoint. What we talked to them about, though, was what could we do to help the individuals in Parramore who because of the digital divide are not familiar with accessing computers or don't have access to a
Right.
computer to get it online. And I was told by the powers that be that they're looking into that very seriously. They'd already had conversation with heal regarding that. And so we are doing some relative to that on the vaccination side. But on the testing side, one of the things we've done we partnered with several other organizations, and we brought testing to Parramore. The non-intrusive saliva testing, as opposed to the nasal testing, and in between two churches, the 910 Church of God on the 910 at 910 Livingston Street and Mount Zion on Saturdays, we have free testing, and we've had about close to 200 individuals who have walked up and got their test free. Wouldn't have been able to get a test because they can't drive out to the convention center, and we were right there, and they're using it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to also invite people to join in on the discussion, and you can certainly like the Parramore Community Engagement Council on Facebook, and we've been putting that information up on the screen for you. If you wanted to wrap up, Elizabeth, is there anything that you might add from the UCF Valencia side on the importance of becoming a part of the PCEC?
Absolutely. I think the thing that I would say, Dr. Spooney honors me and calls me the executive director, but in truth, I am a support role. We as the campus on both institutions really just want to support the work and the priorities of the community as established by the community.
Mm-hmm. And you would know that. Let's do a plug for our museum there.
I would know that because I'm also on the board and the former executive director for the Wells Built Museum, which is right there in Parramore, 511 West South Street, if anyone wants to visit.
Okay, and just tell us a little bit about that museum before we wrap up.
Surely, and it's actually the 20th anniversary of that museum. So the Wells Built Museum of African American History and Culture is a museum that is dedicated to bringing forward the stories and accomplishments and notable firsts for history makers here in Orlando and the Central Florida area. So those names that you might not have learned about in your textbook, we as a museum are there to sing their song and tell their story.
Very good, very good, very good. And we're going to try to have the curator or the madam of that museum, our representative Geraldine Thompson, on with us very, very, very soon. So thank you very much. With us again this evening from the Parramore Community Engagement Council, Elizabeth Thompson. She is from the educational side, the UCF Valencia campus, and Reverend Dr. Spooney is their chair for the council. Thank you very much for being on with us tonight on One Take Live.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.